Thank you. If there's no objection, we are back from executive session. Okay. Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order, and please join me for our Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's move on now to board recognitions.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chair, members of the board, if you would join me down in front, and we'll start tonight's recognitions.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. We're thrilled to begin our recognitions tonight with two of our high school students who made the Georgia Sports Writers Association's list of top football players. Harrison High School's Justin Fields was named the Offensive Player of the Year for Class 6A, and Pebblebrook High School's Trey Pinckney was named the Defensive Player of the Year for Class 7A. Unfortunately, Justin is unable to be with us tonight, but at this time, the board and the superintendent would like to congratulate Trey Pinckney on his success on the football field. So, Trey, please come forward with Coach Kevin Saunders. Trey is joined by Coach Kevin Saunders and Athletic Director Leslie Ellis.
Okay. All right, sir. One more. Oh, yeah. Well. All right, scoot in from the side. Okay. All right, ready? 1, 2, 3. And one more. Okay.
Very good. Next, we are pleased to honor the Class 7A one-act Best Actor State Champion, and that's Carson Collenbaugh from Kennesaw Mountain High School. Hold right there just a second. Carson played the role of Edgar Allan Poe in Kennesaw Mountain High School's production of Nevermore, and he is joined tonight by his principal, Dr. Mark Trachtenbroit, and his department chair, Mr. Coy Dunn.
One, 2, 3. And one more time. Thank you.
Tonight we have the honor of recognizing 3 Cobb students from the same family for recently being admitted to Mensa. Please stand. These students, please stand as I call your name. A.J. Kumar from Lost Mountain Middle School, Vijay Kumar from Due West Elementary, and Sanjay Kumar from Due West Elementary. In order to join Mensa, the brothers had to score in the top 2% of the general population on a standardized intelligence test. And again, these 3 students are from the same family. So we now ask AJ, VJ, and Sanjay to come forward and be congratulated by the board and the superintendent, along with the Lost Mountain principal, Candace Wilkes, Due West principal, LaDonna Starnes, and teachers, Mary Roberts and Kristen Waddell. Please come forward.
Everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more again.
Tonight, we have the pleasure of recognizing Osborne High School's Army JROTC program. First, the boys JROTC program. They've earned the 2017 National Championship title for the 5K run. They're also the Army JROTC Boys State Champions for 2017. The events are designed to teach the cadets about leadership, citizenship, physical, mental, and emotional wellness. So let's now congratulate the boys ROTC program from Osborne High School. Come for a picture. We're going to come for a picture right there. Line up for a picture. Y'all stay.
Okay, all right. Ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more again.
Yeah, tell them to stay at the front. Stay at the front. We're excited to announce that we have more champions from Osborne High School here tonight. The Girls Army JROTC program was also named the national champions for the 5K run, and they are the defending 2016 state champions as well. Osborne was the only high school in Georgia to have 3 teams that either placed first or second in the state championship. So at this time, ladies, come up and be congratulated by the board and the superintendent. You may notice these ladies and the boys prior to them are joined by Chief Warrant Officer Rodney Fagan, also by the Assistant Principal Sheldon Bullock, and Jackie Brown, our Supervisor for Career, Technical, and Agricultural Education.
1, 2, and 3, and one more again.
Very good. We are pleased to announce that we have 3 Cobb teachers who earned the 2017 Georgia Council of Teacher of Mathematics Awards. We swept all 3 categories, elementary, middle, and high, here in Cobb County. The math awards are given to excellent teachers who have strong content foundations in mathematics, appropriate for their teaching level, They show evidence of growth in teaching of mathematics, and they show evidence of professional involvement in the state and the National Council of the Teachers of Mathematics. We're going to invite each teacher up separately, along with her principal, so that they can get their picture and they can be congratulated by the board and the superintendent. So let's start with Karen Harrison from Nickajack Elementary and her principal, Adam Hill.
All right, everybody ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more again. Okay.
Next, we ask Renata Davis from McClure Middle School to come forward, along with her principal, Kelly Metcalf.
Ready? 1, 2, 3, and one more again.
And finally, Karen Klein from Kennesaw Mountain High School and her principal, Dr. Mark Trachtenbroich.
All right. 1, 2, 3, and one more again. Oh, well, I think that's it.
In addition to the 3 teacher level awards, the Georgia Council of Teachers of Mathematics also presented the 2017 Dwight Love Award to a Cobb County School District Mathematics Professional Learning Specialist, and that's Ashley Clody. This award is presented to an educator in Georgia who models excellence in the profession and in life and gives much to others beyond the classroom as a mentor, a teacher, and a leader. The award is a master teacher, professionally active, promotes the Georgia Council of Teachers of Mathematics and its mission. So the board and the superintendent would like to congratulate Ashley Clody along with the supervisor, Michelle Mikes. Please come forward.
Ready? 1, 2, and 3, and one more again. All right, thank you.
We are excited to announce that one of our dedicated Transportation Department employees, Jeremiah Bradbury, was recently crowned America's Best Technician. Bradbury won the America's Best Technician title in November when he competed in the National Association of Pupil Transportation Technician Contest, also known as America's Best Training and Skills Challenge. So we would like to recognize Mr. Bradbury and his supervisor, Rick Grisham, who is the Executive Director of Transportation, at this time at the front of the room the board, and the superintendent. Probably did. That's why you got this. Okay. Let me get this one Rick first, and I'll go back.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, and one more. Okay, thank you.
Hey, Rick, you'll want to stay up here. Rick, good job. As the Executive Director of Transportation, Rick Grisham continues to expand the national legacy of the Cobb Transportation Department. He was recently named to the Board of Directors for the National Association for Pupil Transportation, and as a board member, Rick represents 8 southeastern states for a 3-year term. Rick also earned the 2017 Leadership Award from Schools Transportation News and was featured in the organization's magazine cover story back in November. So the superintendent and the board would like to congratulate you on these recognitions.
One, two, three, and let's do one more. Oh, camera's busy. I guess we'll stick with the first one.
The Georgia Association of Health, Physical Education, Recreation, and Dance named Teasley Elementary School's Eric Hamansky the Elementary Physical Education Teacher of the Year. To celebrate Eric's success at keeping kids active and healthy, we invite him to come forward along with Principal Leslie Mansfield and the Physical Education Supervisor, Mark Anderson. Please come forward.
Absolutely. I've seen you in it. I've seen you in the polo. I don't know.
All right, 1, 2, 3, and let's see, one more. There we go. Thank you.
Oh, I already did my two.
Congratulations to everyone on their achievements tonight. Mr. Chair, this concludes our recognitions for tonight.
You're having fun, aren't you? I can tell. They're talking about something. Just pour some water here.
another day.
Juggle.
We're gonna take a 10-minute. After this. Yes, we're ready to go. Y'all ready?
Waiting on you.
Okay. Thank you. Let's move on now to our public comments. Mr. Doyle, how many speakers do we have?
Mr. Speaker, we have approximately 10.
2 minutes apiece.
Okay, we're going to start tonight with Jordan Clay, who is a student and will discuss 2018 Family Engagement Conference. Please come forward. And he's going to be followed by Jennifer Susko. We had one slight alteration in the order.
Can I go? Okay. Good evening. My name is Jordan Clay, and today, or tonight, I'm going to be speaking on an incident that recently occurred at my school. Now, we all know the parent conference of 2018 occurs, 2 years. But this year, for some reason, parents at Lindley Middle School, my school, did not get the notification or the reminder that this conference is even happening. Reason being that I do not like this is because Lindley, they're always talking about how they would like parent participation more within our school. But parents cannot do that if they're not being reminded or notified about upcoming events. That's like having a basketball team that favors in shooting threes, but this game, you want them to dunk more. But the coach, he doesn't say that. He just lets the team do whatever. And then when a team loses, the coach gets mad. You can't do that. You're the coach. You're supposed to lead your team to victory, not hold them back. But the funny thing is, the only time that parents get notified is when it comes to money. See, the school has fundraisers, dances, dress down days. That is the time when the parents get notified with text messages, emails, voicemails, etc. The dance is $2. The price to dress down is $3. That's already $5 combined. But guess what? You forgot about the snacks. And that's going to cost around $7 to $10 of the whole dance, and maybe more for students who would like to bring more money. My point is, how come Lindley can't deliver the same information when it comes to parent engagement? And to conclude my speech, I would like to say, in my opinion, that I think it doesn't matter what type of information it is or who it's for. It should all be delivered in the same format. Thank you.
Jennifer Susko will discuss professional development, followed by Monica Delancey.
I'm speaking as a school counselor in response to racially driven incidents in Cobb schools. I'm asking the board to demonstrate that Cobb cares about the impacts of such incidents on students. The impact is, in fact, immense from a mental health standpoint. One study describes the long-term physical, mental, and emotional effects of racism on Black students as weathering, as in weathering a storm. The time, energy, and emotion Black students expend navigating a world full of racial stereotypes and discrimination may result in toxic stress and anxiety, heart disease, diabetes, and accelerated aging, and may even be a risk factor for suicide. And to be clear, being called a slave or referred to as the N-word regarding their, quote, extermination constitutes this stress-inducing racism. If anyone doubts if this weathering is happening to our kids, because I'm a school counselor and students disclose things to me that they do not share elsewhere, I can assure you that some students are anguishing over how racism hits them. To work towards the mission on our paperwork and polos, we must acknowledge that some students of color don't feel they're on the one team we claim to be. Instead of dealing merely with incidents that show up in the media, this problem needs to be addressed at the root. The Cobb faculty, parents, and community members standing here in support, and I urge the board to act. First, by providing district-wide culturally responsive teaching and implicit bias professional development. Whether students endure racism as a result of teachers unknowingly using harmful simulation activities to introduce slavery, from teachers who openly make bigoted comments, or from other students, such training would equip staff with the skills to ensure all our kids feel safe, cared for, and welcome in the classroom. Second, by hiring a chief diversity officer to assist the district with inclusive curriculum, cross-cultural communication, and goal setting. Recently, I learned that some local high school students believed that minority meant less of a person. Luckily, someone corrected this distressing misunderstanding. With delayed responses to racism, debate over the merit of legitimate concerns, and staff attempting to teach required standards without cultural competence due to a lack of training, we lead students of color to believe that this misinterpretation of minority is actually true, at least in Cobb County School District. Let's use every tool we can to prove them wrong. Per policy, please provide me with a written response within 30 days. Thank you.
Monica Delancey will discuss the South Cobb community, followed by Ashley Payne.
Good evening. My name is Monica Delancey, and I'm here as a parent tonight. I have 2 children that attend Pebblebrook High School. My daughter's a senior. She's in the Pebblebrook Performing Arts program, and my son, Ernest, he's a freshman at Pebblebrook High School. Pebblebrook High School is in the South Cobb community, and all of the schools, 8 schools that feed the Pebblebrook High School, are classified as Title I schools. At least 80% of the children that is enrolled in the Pebblebrook feeder pattern are economically disadvantaged. That part of the community, the Pebblebrook area, has a rental occupancy rate of 40% or more, and 30168 zip code, which is in Austell, has a 51% rental occupied rate. With all of these challenges that community have, every opportunity must be taken to engage parents, to move parents forward. And one of those opportunities would have been the Family Engagement Conference. I would like to thank Mr. Morgan for trying to make sure that parents are represented at the Family Engagement Conference. But moving forward, there are 3 top priorities that the district must take. And one of those priorities is a cluster area town hall meeting that's done not just when it's time for vote for SPLOST, but maybe 3 times a year. The second priority is to have a team in place that focuses just on the Pebblebrook area. And that team will consist of a parent liaison facilitator, maybe 2 area superintendents, and also social workers that can focus on being intentional, bringing nonprofits together and looking at how different funds are used, such as the Title I budget. But that's the second priority. And the third priority is to make sure that we address this housing issue that's going on. There are people, there are families living in their cars, sleeping in hotels because they cannot afford to live where they are. And that's why we have transit communities in that area. So those are the priorities I want to leave you with, and thank you for your time.
Our next speaker is Ashley Payne, who will discuss support of SPLOST 5 funding for Pebblebrook High School, followed by Cicely Primus.
Hi there, I'm Ashley Payne. I come to you as a graduate of Cobb County Schools, a teacher at a Cobb County Schools, 2 sons that went to Cobb County Schools, and a daughter who's at Pebblebrook. It's her senior year. And first, I'm grateful that my daughter is differentiated every day in things that she loves to do, her passions and the skills that she's good at. Everyone knows this program is a great program. I've got personal friends that moved states to come and have their kids in this program because the performing arts area is so competitive. We know it's successful. We have 60-plus kids that have made it to Broadway. We've got kids that have been in touring groups, cruise lines, all kind of facets of the entertainment industry. And they're successful largely because we've got these highly skilled teachers that pour their lives into their students. And we've got students that are so excited about what they're doing, they'll get on a bus and ride for an hour one way after a long rehearsal the night before and online tests and scores like that in order to go to the school. And thankfully, we have SPLOST funds coming. Our school is overcrowded. We have dance studios that are crammed. We have dressing rooms that are crammed full of kids, excited kids that are motivated and want to be successful. Did you know we have 17 mobile classrooms at the school? And there's a lot of concern about some of our older buildings with flooding and mold problems. My daughter says often they'll have long rehearsals before shows, and kids will actually be sick before the show opens. We can do better than this. Furthermore, we need to preserve the Reese Theater. There's a lot of high schools that have more than one theater. Gosh, this is our performing arts magnet school. It should have more than one theater. That way we can serve everybody. We can serve the non-PA students just like the PA students. Thank you for listening, and thank you for supporting our program.
Cicely Primus will discuss CCC EPA at Pebblebrook High School, followed by Leroy Hutchins.
Hi, I'm Cicely Primus. I am currently the president of the Performing Arts Patrons Association at Pebblebrook High School. We are the parent group that supports the Performing Arts program. I have three children who've attended Cobb County schools, Cheatham Hill Elementary, Loving Good Middle School, and then they have all chosen to go to Pebblebrook. My son graduated in 2016. I have a daughter who's a senior, and I have a daughter who's a freshman. On behalf of Papa, I would like to take this opportunity to invite each one of you to come to the musical that we have next week. It is our winter musical. It is called Sister Act. It is February 1st, 2nd, and 3rd at 8 p.m., and then it is February 4th at 3 p.m. It's 5 minutes away, right at the Jenny T. Anderson Theater. We have families, as you know, from all over the county that attend Pebblebrook High School, and we would love to see our board members there supporting our students, the program, and also our teachers. I go to all of the shows, so I will be there, and I will be looking for you all personally, and I hope I have the opportunity to see you next week. After this meeting, we will be sending you all an email so you can have some more information about the show, and hopefully you can come and join us next week. Thank you.
Next is Leroy Hutchins, who will discuss the importance of family engagement within South Cobb area schools, and he will be followed by Connie Jackson.
Good afternoon. Again, my name is Leroy Hutchins. I am part of the Pebblebrook cluster family, and I will be speaking tonight on regards to the importance of making family engagement our first priority. I would like to first thank David Morgan for your ongoing support as it relates to the increased family engagement within our South Cobb area schools. Family engagement within our South Cobb area schools must be made a board priority. Every 2 years, the Georgia Department of Education hosts a family engagement conference where the focus is shared specialized knowledge of family engagement best practices. This year, the unconference format is utilizing a hybrid ed camp and parent camp model, as well as a student enrichment camp. During the ed camp and the parent camp, I actually will be presenting at the parent camp this year. Parent leaders will have hands-on detailed strategies. It's like a detailed strategy session while we'll be surrounded by family engagement experts from around the state of Georgia. From experience, I attended 2 years ago. I can attest that this conference is a wealth of knowledge. Sadly, within the 8 schools that represent the Pebblebrook cluster, only 2 parents, myself and one other, were extended the invitation to attend again this year. I'm representing Bryant Elementary, the other Edith Green, she's representing Lindley 6th Grade Academy. The 6 remaining school leaders within our cluster area did not extend the invitation to any parent group or any parents within our cluster area. When questioned, it wasn't received well that we requested additional parents to attend. As a result, we are requesting and we're asking that the board makes family engagement a priority moving forward and assist in ensuring that when resources are made available for us to further family engagement within our communities, that we receive those necessary resources accordingly. Again, Mr. Morgan, thank you, and we appreciate your ongoing support in this area.
Next is Connie Jackson, who will discuss the new academy and Cobb Foundation, followed by Ann Parker.
Good evening. First, I'd like to say that I'm very, very excited about the new academy that was presented earlier today at the work session. I think that this is a very huge step for Cobb, and I think it's exactly where we need to go. We have too many students that are coming to us or are already with us that are in the older age range from 16 to 18 and too far behind, and they're dropping out. And I think that this academy will address those students and how to get them to where they need to be. I don't think it's about the CCRPI or the graduation rates or all those. It's about getting those students the degree, diploma that they need to have. And I think that this is an incredibly huge step towards that, and I'm very excited about it. The second thing is I'd like to thank the board members and the Cobb Foundation for the wonderful event that they put on this past weekend. I think that the Cobb Foundation is a resource that we don't fully appreciate, and all the wonderful things that they do for our Cobb schools and our Cobb teachers. And I would like to thank the superintendent for his gambling tendencies. Thank you.
Next is Ann Parker, who will discuss several issues relating to Pebblebrook. She'll be followed by Jerry Barr.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Ann Parker, and I'm districted for Hillgrove. We had a great experience through Loving Good and Cheatham Hill. My daughter was inspired to apply for the magnet program and is enjoying thoroughly the magnet program at Pebblebrook High School. However, we're concerned that we need to be on the charts and prioritized for the SPLOST build, and it needs to happen, I think, with some priority in that I was told by our principal yesterday that we're in excess of 950 students over capacity. We have 17 trailers on our property. And we're still a D-minus school, and we haven't seen any improvement in the last 3 years. So we're looking for some assistance and attention there. Also, I'm concerned with the Earl Reese Theater, which was built no earlier than my own home and is a fully functioning building. All of the other Cobb County schools are being allowed to keep their auditorium when they're receiving a new theater. It serves as a meeting place. It serves as overfill when there's 2 things scheduled for the same time period for rehearsals, orchestra, chorus, multi-class meetings. There's also concern that they're going to take that down and waste taxpayer money to destroy the building, also to take out all of the under utilities is another expense on the chart, and I think a lot of people weren't aware that that was to happen. And again, it was just built like 1990, I think was the build date. We're also asking for support for a full performing arts center, similar to Marietta Performing Arts Center, which they can use to actually build and bring money into their system. Could be rented out for other reasons if necessary. But we are a performing arts magnet. We need to support technical theater. These people can go on and go into the film industry in Georgia, pursue careers in the arts, and to have the proper training facility and studio space so dancers aren't kicking themselves with limited studio space. We need to expand this program to support a program that is nationally recognized. So thank you for your support.
Next, we have Jerry Barr, who will express thanks.
Good evening. I appreciate very much being able to be here. Chairman Chastain and Superintendent Ragsdale and the board, we appreciate very much your support of the work. Chastain is not the chair anymore. It's Wheeler who is the chair. When did that happen? I've been asleep at the switch. We really appreciate the support. Yeah, I will. Appreciate the support of the board and the school system. The Center for Family Resources has been providing a Thanksgiving program for more than 30 years to help low-income families be able to have Thanksgiving and other food during that week of Thanksgiving when the schools are out. This year we served almost 1,000 families, and that's more than 3,000 people with over 55,000 pounds of food. And it's because of the schools that we're able to do that. I have with me Chris Brown, who is the co-chair of our Thanksgiving committee, to tell you more about that. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry, and thank you to the entire board for your support. I just want to take a minute and highlight some of our successes that we had with Thanksgiving last year with your support. With your support, 44 Cobb County schools participated in our Thanksgiving drive, which was a 33% increase in school participation. Because of your support, Ford Elementary donated 11,648 food items, and they came in first place for donations collected for Thanksgiving. Harrison High School came in second place, and Addison Elementary, who was a new school partner this year, came in third place. Because of your support, more than 3,000 students and parents in Cobb County received enough food for a Thanksgiving meal in the entire week. And because of your support, Thanksgiving impacted the community and neighbors who volunteered. And we had a tremendous 32nd Thanksgiving and look forward to your support next year for a successful 33rd. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. At this time, I'd like to take a brief 10-minute recess. Thank you. We're back. Mr. Doyle?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We did have one more speaker for public comment. Mr. Nicholas Condalucci would like to address concern with his son's situation, and each of you should have received a handout from Mr. Condalucci.
Hello, board. I had an incident of a very sensitive nature happen at a school that the student goes to. I've written a complaint, and I wanted to get that all out to the board members and get that to the appropriate people, so I could be put in front of the appropriate people to go ahead with this complaint. Because of the sensitive nature of the complaint, it's I'm trying to work this so it's done properly. It's the first time I've ever gotten up in front of a school board and have had to do something like this. And a lot of people did act grossly inappropriate, misconduct. An officer was involved, and that's all in the letter. And I'm hoping that the board will go ahead and guide me and get me to the right people and have these complaints shown to the right people. Okay, thank you. Did you have any questions for me? I got 44 seconds. Now, back in 1985, at a school up in upstate New York, a group of us kids filed a complaint against a teacher that was acting inappropriately with some students. And those complaints went unheard. He was finally convicted in 2001, 17 years later. This person was allowed 17 years because the complaints went unheard. And I would hate to see another situation like that happen. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's our final speaker, Mr. Chair.
Pardon? That's the last one. Next, we have items requiring action following executive session. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Mr. John Adams to bring those items needing action.
Thank you, Mr. Superintendent, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm pleased to bring you the Human Resources Personnel Report for today, January 25th, 2018. The administration recommends the approval of the identified employment actions of those individuals listed on the Personnel Action Report as discussed in executive session. We do have two principal level or higher position recommendations. First of all, Philip Borgia, Director in the SPLOS Department. We recommend that you approve his resignation to be effective February 28th, 2018. And Mr. David Pierce, Director of the Oakwood Digital Academy. We recommend you approve his retirement effective June 1, 2018. This concludes the Human Resources Personnel Report.
Thank you. We vote on that, right? We have a motion, Mr. Scammell.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Make a motion that the board approve as read, a motion.
A second. Mr. Chastain seconds it. All in favor? Right hand. Opposed? 0. Unanimous. Next, we have the action agenda items. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir. We have the consent agenda, which contains items 1, 2, and 3.
During the work session, items 1, 2, and 3 are consent without objection. If there's no objection now, they are approved. Yes, sir.
It's a minor one, but am I the only one that agenda item number 2 I thought was a discussion? If I wrote that in the air, I'm sorry.
That was consent.
Okay. Then if it's okay, Mr. Chair, I'll make a motion that we approve the consent items as read. Without objection. Without objection. Oh, without. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Mr. Brad Johnson to come forward with agenda item number 4 for the short-term note.
Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. Agenda item number 4 is a recommendation for approval of the short-term construction note resolution approving the issuance of a request for bids for the purchase of $40 million in short-term construction notes. As a description of this agenda item, it is estimated that the construction costs in Cobb County are increasing by 4 to 5% each year by borrowing funds in advance of receipt of monthly SPLOST collections and starting projects at the beginning of a calendar year. It is estimated that construction projects could be accelerated and be less expensive, resulting in substantial savings to the school district. Approval will allow SPLOST 4 construction projects to be bid earlier to capture savings. The acceleration plan proposes the issuance of $40 million in short-term construction notes for calendar year 2018 for SPLOST 4 only. The short-term construction notes are classified as short-term debt and will be due on or before December 31st, 2018. Administration recommends the approval of the resolution regarding the competitive sale of $40 million in short-term construction notes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I make a recommendation that we accept agenda item number 4, the recommendation for approval of short-term construction note, resolution approving the issuance of requests for bids for the purchase of $40 million of construction notes.
Unanimous on number 4.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I'm going to ask Alice Stouter to come and bring agenda item number 5.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, and Mr. Superintendent. I bring you agenda item number 5, recommendation for approval to renew the charter petition for George Walton Comprehensive High School. Walton's 4th 5-year charter renewal request received a high level of support from the staff and the parents. During called meetings on October 3rd and 4th, 2017, the charter petition received 100% approval from the faculty and staff. These 2 called meetings also were held to give parents an opportunity to vote on the charter petition. 99% of the parents voted to approve the charter. The current petition has been reviewed by a team consisting of representatives from all central office divisions and legal counsel. Approving Walton's charter renewal petition will allow the school to continue the pursuit of academic excellence. The superintendent's recommendation is to approve the George Walton Comprehensive High School charter renewal petition.
Have a motion, Mr. Sweeney?
Yes, Mr. Chair. I'd like to make a recommendation that we accept agenda item number 5, the recommendation for approval to renew the charter petition for George Walton Comprehensive High School.
Ms. Slater? Second. Any discussion? All in favor, raise your hand. Opposed? 7-0, unanimous, passes.
Mr. Chair, members of the board, I'm going to ask Dr. Kevin Daniel to come and bring agenda item number 6.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, members of the board, Mr. Superintendent. Agenda item number 6 is the recommendation to approve the amended bylaws of the Cobb Schools Foundation as presented. As stated in the work session, Clem has worked with the Foundation's attorney on this document, and each of you have had the opportunity to review the draft and provide input. You have the final draft of bylaws included in your packet. The administration's recommendation is that you approve the Cobb Schools Foundation amended bylaws as presented.
Have a motion, Mr. Chastain?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I make the motion that we accept the recommendation of the superintendent to approve the amended bylaws of the Cobb Schools Foundation.
Any discussion, or excuse me, second, Mr. Banks, excuse me. Any discussion? Mr. Scamahorn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Dr. Daniels, when, if approved by the board, when will these bylaws take effect?
Well, very soon. They'll go into for them to review after your approval this evening.
They review, who will review it?
So Clem, help me out here, but after the board either approves or denies, if approved, then Clem would send it to the attorney for the foundation, and then it would be presented to the foundation board.
As in effect,
As the approved amended bylaws from the Board of Education.
to be effective immediately? Okay. Thank you, Dr. Daniels and Mr. Superintendent.
Any more discussion? Yes. Mr. Morgan.
I want to say thank you because this has been a protracted process of we had to hit the reset button in terms of what we wanted as a collective in the bylaws. Thank you, Chris, for being receptive to it and, initiating the process of getting input about what should be in the bylaws. So I think now with the amended bylaws, I think that there is greater buy-in from the school board. And it is our hope to see the foundation reach its full potential. So I just want to say thank you that this process started and that we now seem to be on the same page moving forward.
Mr. Scamhorn.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to reinforce what Mr. Morgan just said. It's been a journey, and thank you, Mr. Superintendent, and those that helped Dr. Daniels. Thank you.
Mr. Sweeney.
This may be more of a procedural thing than anything else. I think Mr. Scamahorn brought up an interesting point about the effective date. These redone bylaws also called for board member appointments. So what does the timing of those board member appointments look like? Because they need those appointments to move forward with these as well. So the process is something that we need to address too.
Yeah, so I can speak a little bit to that as we have met in the past about this. Basically, the Board of Education was asked, and myself, to appoint a member of the foundation board. And then the next step was identified to be to get the bylaws amended and approved. And then the foundation board could then move forward in identifying the remaining 7 at-large board members, assuming that, everybody agrees to the bylaws as amended and that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Scamhorn.
Yeah, I'll be glad to go ahead and speak. And Mr. Swinger brings a good point, so I may be in error again, but since we already have appointed one board member, I guess the question is if we wanted to reappoint or rename somebody else, when would we do that?
There's going to be some questions of what came first, the chicken or the egg here, because we're reconstituting. And just for clarity, I believe the chair of the foundation kindly sent some ideas for this document, and you all have had a chance to have input. And so it was our goal to put this in front of the school board to come up with this draft. And so there still is the step of communicating these with I'll say the chair of the foundation and council, what have you. And that's when we'll have to get to the process and get back to you all about appointments and as I said, what comes first, the chicken or the egg.
Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'm wondering, do these bylaw changes affect any of our policy concerning the foundation?
No.
They shouldn't, but once we get this document finalized, we'll certainly make sure there's no conflicts as we do with all these kind of things.
Okay, thank you.
Any more discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries 7-0, unanimous. This brings us to our board member comment section, and we'll start with Mr. Sweeney. Ms. Thayer?
I do have. Today we lost a valued member. Sorry, I have to turn on my microphone. Today we lost a valued member of our community. Barbara Quells was an engineering teacher at Griffin Middle School. And so our thoughts and prayers are with her family today and always with their loss as they deal with that loss. But also in another way of loss, we accepted tonight the resignations of 3 people in our community school area, and those were David Pierce. Although these are not immediate actions, we did accept their resignations tonight. The actual actions will not take. The first one takes place in April and the others in June, but we will eventually be losing David Pierce, one of our most popular principals, and Candy English and Karen Lockhart. So we start our goodbyes to those people, but those will be losses in our community also. But to everyone else, hope that you've survived the flu season okay and that now we're ready to really get in gear to start school again. Thank you.
Mr. Banks.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to take this opportunity to thank all the bus drivers, all the administrators in the transportation department, and all the technicians and mechanics that keep these buses in top shape. As everyone knows, we had some emergencies as far as the snow days, so our bus drivers were there when we needed them, and I think I don't know of any instance where a child was not able to get home or taken care of during this period of time. So our bus drivers and our administrators did an excellent job of making sure everybody got home that should have gotten home. So thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chastain?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to say that I'm thankful that things have thawed out and appreciate Mr. Superintendent and the staff of keeping everybody informed and aware of what was going on with our schools. And the other thing I'd like to mention is this week is the Georgia Music Educators Association Conference. It's being held in Athens, Georgia. A few weeks ago, I visited Wheeler High School and heard the Wheeler Orchestra, and I'm going to say, if I say the middle school, I'm going to get it wrong because my mind just went blank. But so I want to use this as a point to thank our orchestra teachers particularly, but all of our music educators for what they do to help round out our students in all of our various schools in Cobb. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chastain. Mr. Skimmerhorn?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just like to remind those that have not heard before, heroes don't wear capes. They wear badges. Our heroes are among us. They protect us. They run to danger when the rest of us run away. I don't have my list of those that have fallen this month, but hopefully we'll be able to get that list next month. Just remember, thank a policeman, a fireman. Thank them for what they do because every day they want to go home to their families too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Morgan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I want to say a couple things. First, I want to thank participants, positive participants, let me put it that way. Positive participants in our process, alliteration, right? Especially right now in the South Cobb community, whether we're talking about family engagement and parents wanting to be involved in that, or whether we're talking about the performing arts. It's something that we all are invested in, and we all want to see the best happen for our children and for our community. And even though things might not manifest overnight, it does not mean that it's not going to manifest, and it's something that's a priority for all of us. So continue to participate, continue to be positive participants, and we're going to continue to work together to see that we get the best for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ragsdale.
Yes, sir, Mr. Chair. Again, I want to reiterate what Ms. Thayer mentioned. We did lose one of our team members. Barbara Coyle, a teacher at Griffin Middle School, passed away, and certainly our thoughts and prayers are with her family during this rough time that they will certainly be going through. We also, unfortunately, lost a 6th grade student from Garrett Middle School. Simeon Hyde passed away on Tuesday as a result of injuries from a car accident. So our thoughts and prayers go out to that family as well during this rough time. And Mr. Chastain kind of mentioned thawing out. I just want to wish everybody a hearty welcome back from the last 4 weeks of breaks. And I hope the Farmer's Almanac is incorrect, as it calls for not necessarily warm and toasty weather for the months ahead of us. But that being said, I want to take this opportunity to mention a couple of things. One, we've had many questions. You have seen it on the news. You've read it in the media about what are we going to do for makeup days? And there is a litany of responses, very inconsistent across the metro Atlanta area, but I want to take this time. I mentioned it earlier, and it's probably on our website by now, but I wanted to mention exactly what we are going to do and more specifically what we are not going to do. We will not be adding any minutes to any day throughout the year. We will not be adding days to the end of the year, and we will not be taking any days away from any upcoming breaks. I think that's a pretty exhaustive list of what we're not going to do, and I think that's all inclusive. Everybody knows we have the greatest teachers in Cobb. Our teachers are the best in Cobb. Chad, you can quote me on that, because I've said it many times before. And in all seriousness, I have 100% confidence in our teachers and our leaders to be able to adapt and overcome to any environment and any situation. And I'm confident that those teachers and leaders will help our students, all students, achieve our one goal of student success throughout the school year. And again, I mentioned that certainly we are very hopeful that we do not miss any more days, but certainly I want to say and remind everyone that's a parent that one of the top priorities that we take into consideration when we're deciding to call school or have school is the fact that we have high school drivers on the roads. And I think everybody that's a parent will certainly relate to if your child was driving to school. You would want them in the safest environment possible, and we have that at the utmost of our priority when making that decision. And let me just say, it is never an easy decision. It's never a winning decision. It's hardly ever a happy decision for everybody, but we want to take student safety at the top priority. And I'll be the first one to say when we get it wrong. And other than the Walker Private School, which apparently they have a crystal ball, and were able to know to call school off on the Friday back in December when we went from a slight accumulation to, 3.5 feet of snow within about 30 minutes. So do we wish we had that one back? Absolutely. We would have called school, and we would have been right there with Walker. Unfortunately, the metro area, we were all in the same boat, apparently making the same decision. So when we're getting to school and calling school off an hour and a half after school has started, that's never a great situation, and certainly hindsight is always 20/20. But that being said, we always take student safety and staff safety as a top priority. And it's generally our philosophy that if I'm going to have to call school off for students, I'm going to call school off for staff, because if it's a situation of safety and being safe on the roads, we take the safety of our staff just as important as the safety of our students. So with that, I appreciate everyone's cooperation and understanding as we strive to make the best decision we can, but certainly it's not going to be perfect all the time. Lastly, I want to give out an accolade that we give out regularly, and that's to the Financial Services Division. Brad Johnson, our CFO, does a tremendous job. And as we discussed earlier today, Brad had mentioned we have the two highest credit ratings that can be obtained. And not many organizations, let alone school districts, are able to brag about having one, let alone both. One of which is a AAA long-term credit rating, and the other is a MIG-1, not to be anywhere associated with Russia, but that is the financial rating of short-term credit rating for the district, and both are the highest possible credit ratings that can be received. So I want to say how much I appreciate Brad's leadership in our financial services division, and I know he'll be the first one to say it's a team effort, and I will agree, but it does start at the top, and Brad, you do a tremendous job leading that financial services division, so appreciate that. Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Ragsdale. I guess it's my turn now. I'd like to echo Ms. Thayer's comment about Mr. Pierce. I had the opportunity, my son was with him this summer and fall, and he's a good man. I want to thank him for his service to the district. And in closing, to the district staff, I think y'all did an outstanding job with the weather forecast or response, because I know that the information you get is not always accurate, and you have to go with what the experts tell you, and the way you monitor and respond is commendable. And like you said, safety of the kids and staff is first. You're not just talking it, you're walking it, and that's the way to do it. Thank you. If there's no objection, we are adjourned.